let's talk about AEW Dynamite. And it was a lot. It wasn't. Oh boy. Hope you guys have a solid enough Valentine's Day. Hope you had some sugar in one way or one. Some hibbity dibbity. Okay. So we're going to talk about this Dynamite episode here. In terms of news and notes, D-Mac, friend of the channel, been around for a long time, brought something to my attention that I really hadn't paid attention to, especially since, word spread that QT Marshall was coming back to AEW after he left. That this whole bidding war of 2024 gimmick seems to be over, isn't it? Like, there's been no conversation at all about MJF being a free agent. Now, I know he got injured before the year ended, or right after the year, one of the two. And do you really think they're going to add like a week to his contract? Or was it a gimmick and he's re-signed this whole time? I was on board with the idea that he re-signed when they gave him the world title. When he disappeared all that time and then he came back, I knew he was re-signed because they made him the champion almost immediately. So I already knew he was re-signed. But isn't it funny how that's like the one person that you never hear anything about? Like MJF is in talks with WWE. Okada's in talks. Mercedes is in talks. Julia is in talks. But not MJF, the guy who's been talking about it for 2 years. He's not in talks with WWE. Interesting. Very interesting. In terms of QT Marshall going back, I say good. AEW it can't get worse. It cannot get any worse. So, well, I shouldn't say that. It technically can get worse. We're going to be saved from his mediocre matches apparently because apparently he doesn't want to wrestle. He's just going to be an executive, which is big thumbs up for me. Go do your thing. I don't care. As long as QT Marshall not in WWE, don't make me no difference. That's another free agent that Triple H missed out on. Darn it! He needed to get it together. He missed out on that huge free agent QT Marshall. Oh, brother. All right. Let's get into this show. Jon Moxley versus your boy, Dax Harwood. This match was 20 minutes plus. 20 minutes plus. What on earth are they doing? Why are they doing this? Does Dax Harwood get paid by the minute? Is he like a construction worker? I gotta feed my daughter. This match needs to be as long as possible because I get paid every 60 seconds. It's like, what is this? Why is this match so long? They're running their heads against each other. This is the first time these guys have ever wrestled before. And they're smashing heads together like they're Goku and Vegeta. Like they've been at war with each other for years. What is this? Oh, it was a hard-hitting scrap. It's like, look, here's my theory of long matches. Even if the match is good, even if the guys are good, sometimes if the match is too long, it don't matter anymore. Like, this was a physical contest. If this match was 10 minutes, I probably would have been like, you know what? These are two guys who can both work. It'd have been fun. But 20? Over 20? Oh, come on. This is not a main event. If it was a main event of a pay-per-view or something and the match was 20 minutes, okay. If it was for a championship, okay. If it was like a blood feud, okay. I can understand matches might be in a little long. But this is the opening match of your television show between a former world champion and a tag team wrestler. They should not be on par with each other to the point where they're wrestling for 20 minutes. I'm sorry. It's a joke. It's dumb. So Jon Moxley chokes out Dax Harwood. And then they did the silliest finish ever. Harwood's, they checking his arms and he's pumping his fist. I can't feed my daughter if I go to sleep. If I go to sleep, who's going to feed her? She gotta get them hot dogs and ramen noodles. And then he just goes to sleep. Just goes right to sleep. And I was like, oh boy, we're doing this. Anyway, Jon Moxley wins. Of course he was going to win. That's another reason why this match shouldn't have been 20 minutes. Unless, you're going to squeak out a Dax Harwood roll-up win, then what the hell was the point of all this? So Moxley wins. He refuses to release the hold, so Cash Wheeler runs into he's not in jail. Not yet. Cash Wheeler is not in jail yet. So he attacks John Moxley. He's punching him. This leads to Claudio Castagnoli and Moxley beating up Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. And they're preparing Dax Harwood for a singles run because they don't know any idea what's going on with Cash. And I hope he doesn't go to jail. That would suck. That would be really dumb. So then Don Callis, he cuts one of the stupider promos he's ever cut. He talks about nobody wanted to fight the Don Callis family. Nobody wants to fight Takeshita. Nobody wants to fight Powerhouse Hobbs. And he wants Konosuke Takeshita to be on the pay-per-view. He wants him to be on the pay-per-view so bad that he put together a match between members of the family, Will Ospreay and Konosuke Takeshita. And they're going to continue to be family afterwards. But, he said Takesha's the best wrestler between the ropes and all this sort of stuff. And Will Hobbs is standing right there listening to this crap. Why would you book two of your guys in your own stable to wrestle each other? Why would you do that? What is to be gained in doing that? Like, I've never seen that before in my life. I've never seen somebody willfully pick two guys from his own stable to wrestle each other. That doesn't make sense, but whatever. They're just doing their thing. They just want to get Will Ospreay on the card somehow. They want to get Will Ospreay on this card somehow. They want to get Takeshita on this card somehow. But to me, I don't think that this match benefits either one of them. Takeshita shouldn't lose to Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay shouldn't lose to Takeshita. They should be in separate matches and winning them both. That's what should happen. Why are they in one match? In which one? Like Takeshita, I don't know what you're trying to do with him. I don't know what the goal is. I don't know what the plan is. Maybe they were fattening him up to feed him to Will Ospreay, which would suck because the guy's talented. Will Ospreay just did a job for Josh Alexander, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be, beginning the Will Ospreay push towards Wembley, probably right now. So why would he lose to Konosuke Takeshita? Now, my one thought is that spinning out of this thing is going to be Don Callis turning on Will Ospreay, and he's going to be the babyface going forward, which seems to be the most sensible thing that they could do here. But this is dumb booking. You have 100 fucking people on this roster, and the only thing you could think of is, I'll have two members of my own faction feud against each other for no reason, no financial gain. If a guy like Don Callis is supposed to care about money and prestige, how do you benefit from this? Whatever. Wardlow defeated some jobber. Adam Cole was on commentary. He said nothing of importance. Well, poor Wardlow. I say it every week. Anyway, why does he have a spotlight in the middle of the ring when he's standing on the top rope? The little things. Pay attention to the little things. I thought Edge and Daniel Garcia was the main event of the week. That's what I thought. I was incorrect. It was the third match on the show. They worked hard. It was a little long for my taste. I didn't clock how long this match was. So it was actually not bad. The match ended up being thrown out, which explained to me why it was not the main event of the evening. And I instantaneously, was ready to take my ink pen and jam it through the television because I thought this was about to be another triple threat match. Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne assaulted both Edge and Daniel Garcia. Christian Cage came ringside. Daddy Magic, is that what his name? The Fat 2.0? He got hit with a chair. He tried to help them. So then Edge Christian and his squad jumped Daniel Garcia and that other guy. Edge comes back, try to fight him with a chair. He ends up getting overwhelmed and gets hit with a concerto by Christian. So I went from, so that's why it's not the main event, because it's a disqualification, to thinking it might be a triple threat match, and I was ready to actually shit silver. And then I said, they wrote Edge off. So they gave Edge a concerto. He's certainly not going to make it to the pay-per-view. So since Edge is out, Daniel Garcia is likely going to get the shot. So even though I'm not a huge fan of Daniel Garcia, I think he's kind of boring. He's going to wrestle Christian one-on-one. All right, fine. That saves Edge, some time where he can go take some time off and maybe end up wrestling Christian, I don't know, at some other point in time. We can just do Daniel Garcia right now. Okay, fine. Don't hate it. This should have been the first match on the show then, if they were going to do a disqualification. And that's just my opinion. Samoa Joe comes out there. He says he apologizes to the audience because he instituted a ranking system so that only the best sacrifices can step up to face him. But somehow the championship committee made his match bigger and dumber, and that they started awarding mediocrity around here. Neither one of these guys deserve to be in his ring. Therefore, a crime has been committed against him, and that these men may walk in, but they certainly will not walk out. So Swerve comes out, and he gets, pretty good reaction. Talked about being on his way to become the GOAT. That 15 years of him wrestling around the world trying to get noticed. He says that Samoa Joe told people to bring their resume and bring their wins or whatever. So he got wins, and he need to check his resume. Nobody can out-hustle him. Nobody can out-grind him. So he came toe-to-toe with the best that they have to offer and their best legends. He's still here. He's going to be the AEW World Champion. This kind of generic promo from Swerve. People like him, so it's going to get him over, but kind of generic. Hangman Page comes out, and his mustache is too big for his face. It's like in his mouth and everything. It's terrible. He said he wasn't mad last week, but it was horseshit. Says that only the winner should face Samoa Joe. And if it was up to him, Swerve didn't beat him, so Swerve wouldn't be in this match. And it should be the two men who respect the championship the most. He's a heel now because he didn't win either. And he's saying that you didn't beat me, so you're not the number one contender. It's like, well, you didn't beat him either, you dork. Anyway, he looked at Swerve and said that, Swerve does not deserve a second of his time. He does not deserve 5 more minutes. He does not deserve to be in this match after all the things that Swerve did to him. And you know what? That is actually a good point. Because Swerve did do some monster. He apparently tormented this man's baby. He broke into his house. Did people forget that? I think they did. Swerve committed a home invasion on Adam Page. And now people are like, yeah, I like Swerve. This wrestling fans, dog. They just do their own thing. It's fine. This promo segment was a whole bowl of meh. I'm not thrilled with I love Samoa Joe. He's a titan. The other two guys, Hangman Page, I actively don't like. But Swerve, he's got some chops. Maybe with a little bit more time. I know he's not old either. He's like in maybe early 30s. So he should be good, by the time they're ready to put the belt on him. Hopefully he gets a little bit better. Okay. So Toni Storm had her movie, which was called Wet Ink. This is my favorite part of the episode because Toni Storm says that what does tattoo mean to her? She said that she took in a desperate girl, a girl who was so desperate, so pathetic that she had pity for Deanna. She brought Deanna in, helped her sign a contract. She was his young girl. She was her young girl. She nurtured her. She fed her at the bosom of her brilliance, at the teat of her talent. Bro, huge pop. Toni Storm deserves nothing but roses and flowers for how good she is at this thing. So the camera pans down after Toni Storm makes 100 faces, and you see that she's actually drawn over the tattoo. So I gotta respect the dedication to the gimmick. She looked at this tattoo and says that what you thought it means nothing. I'm going to just draw over it. I support that, right? Like, I support you legitimately changing your tattoo for this gimmick. I support that. That's real. That's really good. I love the dedication. It's almost like method acting. Like you hear a guy put on 50 pounds for a role, you're like, man, that guy's serious about his business. Toni Storm legitimately went and got a new tattoo to cover up the one she already had, because the storyline suggests that she should cover up that tattoo to break any bond that she would normally have with Deonna Purrazzo. I like that. Deonna Purrazzo's response to that was she was a little distraught at seeing that, Toni was so willingly to throw away their bond and throw away their history. But it says that Toni talks too much and that she's going to break her arm, and called Toni a bitch. And I was like, oh, that was very generic. She needed something more than that. She needed something a little bit more dramatic. Maybe the AEW fan base just keeps saying, like, not everything has to be soap. There's a reason why soap operas can be on TV for like 50 years with the same characters running in circles. Because people like when things are built upon each other. They like when characters have emotions and ranges of character. We know they're going to have a match. We know that Deonna Purrazzo is going to try to hurt Toni Storm physically. It would have been nice to see or hear how Deonna Purrazzo is hurt. Her feelings are hurt that Toni Storm would do that, And I'm not saying she should be traumatized sitting in the corner crying. I think she showed some frustration with Toni Storm here, but it would have been like, man, this tattoo meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to our friendship. You really have changed. You really have changed a lot. And I thought that there was something within you that might, snap back to reason, but you just permanently altered our bond. You've thrown it away completely. That doesn't take significantly much more time than what she did. But whatever. It's fine. Thumbs up to Toni Storm for her absolute dedication to this gimmick. Going out and getting a new tattoo. That was excellent. Good stuff. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, defeat Top Flight in a match I did not want to watch. And to be quite honest, I barely watched it. So Matt and Nick are still wearing the bloody suits from last week, which lets me know that the EVPs are poor. Apparently they can't change their clothes. Also, they just don't care about disease. You're walking around with your age suits. And they're like, why would you do that? They wrestled a full match. I don't understand why this had to happen. They ended up cheating to win, but it's not like it matters. Tony Schiavone gets into the ring. The Young Bucks start talking about how they beat Top Flight, who is one of the better tag teams in AEW. And they think that makes them the number one contenders. And then there's a graphic that says that they're the number one contenders. Then they start picking a fight with Tony Schiavone. Matt Jackson says that Tony Schiavone is publicly disparaging them every week. And he thinks that that's a breach of contract, disparaging the management in public. And says that there should be consequences for that. So Nick Jackson fined him $1,000. And then they demanded to know if he had a problem with it and pushed him over. And then they were going to do the EVP trigger to him before Darby Allin came out and saved him. Now let's pause right here because there's a lot going on here. The match, again, don't care about it. The idea that the Young Bucks are not a number one contenders, don't care about that either. We kind of saw that coming. Matt Jackson, however, suggesting that Tony Schiavone publicly disparaging them is breach of contract. I gotta say, I like that. I like that because I think it is part of their talent code that you can't publicly disparage the company. So now they're saying, well, we're the EVPs. You cannot publicly say things negative about us, and they're abusing their authority and all this kind of stuff. So this works. Now the shit is when they pushed over Tony Schiavone. And they were going to attack him because Tony Schiavone is like in his mid 60s, probably late 60s. He's not taking a bump. All right. You're not going to hit him and attack him. So what led was them holding him in place forever for Darby Allin to come out. So Darby Allin comes out, makes the save, runs the Young Bucks off. He then gets on the microphone, started yelling about AEW's original mission statement of saving the world. Or changing the world, I'm sorry. I got to get my verbiage right, or the AEW fans are going to jump up and down my back. Then he starts talking about, when this company was started, they didn't want him. He was begging the Young Bucks to get a job, and he says that the only people who had jobs were all of your friends, the California crew. And he said, thank God there was an EVP here with a brain. Huge Cody chant breaks out. He's more over here than anybody in this situation, to be quite honest. Then he says that he wasn't on the first Dynamite, but Brandon Cutler was, which led the Young Bucks to say, what's wrong with Brandon Cutler? Like, he's a veteran, which I also thought was funny. Then he says that the straw that broke the camel's back is last year when these guys re-signed, they didn't say they re-signed to change the world. They said they re-signed for a lighter schedule and more money, not the OG mission statement. They said that, that version of AEW apparently is dead. So now all you guys want to care about is being Sting's final match. Okay, well, it's showtime. So he accepted it. I huge pop for the Darby Allin promo. Him saying that, you guys suck. All the people you brought in suck. I'm so glad we can all agree on this now. I think it's amazing that we can now actually go on record and say that those early days of Dynamite, where it was just the Young Bucks and all of their friends, was some of the worst horse shit ever perpetrated among the American public. It was the shits. All right. Drizzling. Dukalax. All right. So I'm glad we can all agree and sit back and look at history and say these guys did hire all their friends. They were being nepotistic, and it fucked up everything. But at some point, it changed. So that was great. And he says, oh, it's all friends wrestling. It's a little 4 years late for that, but I'm glad he told them to their faces that what they did sucked. But I didn't like that he said that he had to beg them for a job, which was very embarrassing. Because the Young Bucks probably should have been the ones begging for a job too. They all should have been in Evolve together while we were talking. But the Young Bucks have weaseled their way into a match with Sting. That's fine. Everybody saw that coming. The Bang Bang and Scissor Gang want to have a 12-man tag. Let's just move on. It's a joke. Jay White. Hey, how is he going to be any different than anybody else that they brought in from New Japan or anywhere else? Look at what they've done to Jay White. Just look at this mess. He is in a crowd of people. Just in a crowd. Doing nothing. Just doing nothing. And while we're talking about the Acclaim, Rhea Ripley did an interview. I don't know who she did an interview with. Wasn't paying that close attention to it. But this was over a year ago, where Max Caster mentioned her and Dominic Mysterio in his rap. And he said that Buddy Matthews was getting cucked by a dude named Dominic. And the interview asked her about it. And she said that she doesn't think he did a very good job because it put over two people who didn't work there more than it put over himself. And I thought, wow, that was a very mature answer for starters. Secondly, that's right. That is correct, actually. But this is people who are trying to look for scraps of beef and all this kind of stuff. She did a good job of not engaging, but at the same time having a response. Basically, focus on yourself. Don't try to put over other people, which they need the help, if we're being honest. But here's the crazy thing to me that really kind of blew my wig, and I had to make sure I was paying attention. When they were being interviewed, they said, welcome to the Bang Bang Scissor Gang Lounge. And I wasn't looking at the screen at the time. I looked at the screen, and it didn't look like they were in a lounge. It didn't look like they were even in a room. It looked like they were in a hallway or something. Not even a hallway, like a furnished hallway. They looked like they were just backstage amongst rubble. What is this? Anyway, let's just move on. Willow Nightingale defeated Sky Blue with her gut wrench powerbomb. Stokely Hathaway is now hanging out with Willow and Chris Statlander. So I guess he finally wormed his way in with them. I don't know. Sky Blue still working with Julia Hart. Stokely ends up distracting the referee to help Willow Nightingale win the match. And she's a babyface. And everybody's okay with this. So I'm like, is she turning heel? Is he turning face? What's happening? Then I realized I don't give a fuck. So then we can move on. The sixth match made me violently angry because Matt fucking Taven is in the main event of a Dynamite. And I found the nearest mirror and I just looked at it and like, can you believe this shit? Like, do you believe it? Because I don't. Somebody has to, like, you got to have absolute fucking brain rot to put Matt Taven in his first singles match on this show. If my memory correct, he's never worked on Dynamite before. And he's in the main event? What? And then I thought, like, how is he getting a title shot? Then I see that it's even dumber. It's not a championship match. It's a Texas death match. Like, what? Then I had to remember that the Undisputed Kingdom, DUMB, is feuding with Orange Cassidy and his gaggle of weirdos. So I immediately was just like, I don't watch Matt Taven. Matt Taven sucks. You know, I hate to break it to you. Matt Taven blows. He blows ass. Now, he did do a huge dive over the top rope and ended up spiking himself through a table, which is quite possibly the coolest thing he's ever been a part of. But for the rest of this match, I was zoned the fuck out. Matt Taven, no. Orange Cassidy, hell no. Why? If I'd have known this was going to be the main event, now I'm pretty sure they told me that and I just wasn't paying attention. But if I'd have known this was going to be the main event, I would have cut out early. I'd have cut out at like 9 o'clock. You know, if I knew that the last hour was going to be Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Acclaimed, Willow and Matt Taven, I'd have cut out. I'd have been like, you know what? You can have it. And whatever. So I didn't even know how you win this match. They say Orange Cassidy won by knockout. Who cares? Who gives a fuck? That sucked. We deserve better. So I forgot to talk about this in my news and notes, that Rocky Romero now apparently is going to be in the office for AEW. And that has a lot of people talking about the partnership between Rocky Romero and New Japan and AEW, how this guy works in all these different companies as basically a talent liaison. You know, he's kind of been one of the guys who have been facilitating the booking of talent from guys from New Japan and CMLL and all this kind of stuff. And I say, you know, people are like, oh, he's, you know, Tony Khan stealing everything from Japan. And, yeah, kind of. You know, I dislike Rocky Romero as a wrestler. He's Chavo Guerrero without the Guerrero, you know. He ashy as fuck. You know, it's just is what it is. I have no interest in watching Rocky Romero wrestle. But if he's getting the boys booked, I can't hate on that, you know. Because that's really all, from what I know, that's really all he does is, you know, he facilitates some talents come in and making sure they got dates and taken care of and stuff like that. I can't be mad at that. You know, if he's good at it, go for it. Everybody who thinks he's supposed to be working for New Japan, like, I heard that he's going to be working for both of them. And, you know, he's probably going to be working with CMLL and New Japan and AEW and facilitating all that stuff. And that works for me. Just don't put him in the ring. He's boring as shit in the ring. Just don't put him in the ring. But I'm not against, like, even if he was just to sign from New Japan, that would be fine. I mean, he can't screw up the show. That's the thing. Like, he's in a position where he can't make the show worse. Tony Khan is the one booking this stuff. He's the one making the show suck. You know, Rocky Romero is just giving him talent, just making him, you know, he's somebody that the offices can trust. And so he's, you know, facilitating this sort of thing. I keep saying the word facilitating, but he's just that guy saying, you know, to CMLL that you could trust AEW, saying to New Japan that you could trust AEW, and vice versa. That's all he does. You know, helps guys get booked. What Tony actually decides to do with them is completely different. Tony decided to have a 3-week invasion of CMLL in which the CMLL guys won no matches. No matches. They won none of them. And now they're going to wrestle in Mexico where they'll probably win that one match. How ridiculous. I also forgot to mention this, but we're going to talk about it here. Tony Khan was making fun of Big Nasty. I don't call him by his real name. I just call him Big Nasty. That's how I know him. Because he wanted to tout the Collision rating. So he's on Twitter, saying, I was wondering all weekend where the Fast Nationals were. All his fans and his, I don't want to call it a cult. It's like a perpetual birthday party when it comes to Tony Khan. And all of these people are there clapping like seals, like it's North Korea or something like that. Go get him, Uncle Tony. And the numbers come in, and Collision's ratings are 491,000 people. 491,000 people. When this show started, it was getting 800,000. Then it dipped to like 700,000. Then it started getting NXT numbers of about 600 some odd thousand. Now it gets less than NXT. Look, I don't care about ratings. I really don't. But if you're going to dunk on that dork Big Nasty, and he is a dork. He's been a dork for a decade. All right. He's not like, somebody whose side I'm on. But if you're going to dunk on the guy, the number should be astronomical. It should be a pretty big number. 491, that's what you're going to tout as being, a huge number. Oh, come on. Kick rocks, Tony. Kick rocks barefoot. Kick rocks with Zach Gowen's leg. These guys are fucking idiots, man. This Mercedes Moné thing cannot happen soon enough. I cannot wait for the discourse. I can't wait. Oh, the first night is going to be so much fun. For like 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to be super fun. I hate that we got to wait like a month. I want her on this screen now. I want her on the screen right now. I want her to deal with this storytelling that they're doing right now. I want it right now. I can't wait. But until then, we're going to trudge through this show. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later.